Omega has the same problem as Audemars Piguet. When it comes to chronographs, they are too reliant on the Speedmaster.
And I totally disagree with it. The Speedmaster is an institution, so as always, you're wrong.
I just think they're leaving a lot of opportunities on the table in terms of sizing, in terms of complications, and in terms of vintage revivals. This is Grand Complications, taking on the watch world's stickiest subjects, and today we're talking about the Omega Speedmaster.
What you talking about? This is my collection. That's the alpha and the omega of my watch collection.
And yet there are many other letters in the Greek alphabet. I'm not saying they had to get rid of the Speedmaster. I'm saying they recently came out with a lacquer white dial, which is now the 400th. There are more Speedmasters than there are planets, I'm just saying.
It's true, yeah.
And I think they are limiting themselves. I think consumers are perhaps getting a little bit bored of seeing yet another Speedmaster. We're both vintage guys.
Yes.
If you look back, they have the Flightmaster for complications,
Which I love.
You can get a 3-2-1 movement outside of a Speedmaster for like $5,000, which is like less than what the standard Speedmaster retails for.
Yeah, true.
You have the chrono stop for entry-level stuff. You have a lot more flexibility as far as sizing, because they go down to 35 millimeters, which for someone like me who has tried to pull off the Speedmaster but just doesn't have the real estate, this is 35 millimeters. I could wear an Omega chronograph. I would proudly wear an Omega chronograph that's closer to this. It doesn't have to be 35. It could be 39, it could be 37, whatever it is. I just think there's a lot of flexibility there. They've taken the Speedmaster, they run with it, and there are a lot of other watches that they've done over the years that they could be utilizing.
Well, yeah, okay, so let's look at your point, right? The models, I totally agree with you. The Flightmaster is one of my favorites, as I said. I think they did a great job at the 910 and the 911 back then. They did something else recently, which is like a digital or like a quartz Flightmaster. It's not really a Flightmaster. I think a lot of people, a lot of vintage Omega fans would love to see the Flightmaster coming back.
Yeah, and that's a chronograph plus, and that's a dozen other things.
Yes, that's a, well, complicated watch, you'd call it like that, right? Then you mentioned, I think, maybe not the dynamic, but the chrono stop, perfect. I don't know actually if we need that these days. I don't think that complication, that simple chronograph complication is needed, but I think the model line, both on Geneve and Seamaster, they offer enough versatility that you could do something with it.
I think and I'm going to go down a little bit of a tangent here. I don't think the chrono stop specifically is the way to go, but I think they need something besides the Moonwatch as an entry level. I and other people think that the Moonwatch, in a way, devalued the Speedmaster, devalued the Omega brand, and there are other chronograph iterations that they could have gone with for a lower price.
I agree. I also think that it was a great marketing move from Omega. Then again, how much of that watch is an Omega and how much of it is Swatch is a debatable thing.
More Swatch than Omega, in my opinion.
Probably yes. But yeah, you're right. If you look at the current collection, the current Omega collection, you don't really have a lot of chronographs outside of the Speedmaster line. The Heritage line, as far as I know, has no chronographs. It has a bunch of Reimasters and whatever and Seamasters, but no chronographs. So I guess you're right in the sense that the brand needs maybe more options when it comes to chronographs. But I also think that when it comes to the Speedmaster to Omega is what New York City is to America. New York is not America. New York is New York. The Speedmaster is an Omega, but it's also the Speedmaster. So it's a bit like, it's a bit above all the other models for whatever reason, and we know the reason. Now, whether that's a great marketing success or it deserves to be there, this is debatable, but that's why we're here.
Yeah, but I think there's more to a country than just one city. I think there's more to a Omega chronograph specifically than just the Speedmaster.
Absolutely. What I'm saying is people say London is not England, London is London. Berlin is not Germany. It's like, it's bigger than that. That's what I mean when I say New York is, of course, it's part of the United States, but it's its own entity. The Speedmaster is something like that. I think it rises above the Seamaster and all the other lines. And again, there's a great marketing machine behind it. Yes, there's a lot of limited editions. We heard that complaint from many collectors. But still, there's a reason why that watch still sells, and it still sells very, very well, vintage or modern.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing that they get rid of the Speedmaster by any means. I think they should pump the brakes a little bit as far as limited editions and things like that. I just think with so many other vintage models to choose from, and now that trends for case sizes are changing, and there are future trends out there as far as like integrated bracelets with the PRX and others, for example, that they are not tapping into with this. If there's other materials, like if ceramic really becomes the next thing in 2025, there are there's just not that much flexibility in there, and I think they owe it to themselves to broaden their horizons a little bit more. And let's say, hey, there's we're rattling off 7 different non-Speedmaster Omega chronographs. Pick the best one, or maybe even combine a couple, I don't care, and just try it out. Do a limited run of 5,000 pieces or something, see how it sells, and then it's just not the same song over and over and over again.
Yeah, I hear you.
And as a consumer, I want to be able to walk into the Omega boutique, see something new, and also try something below 42 millimeters. That is not the Speedmaster reduced, because I'm not a fan of that watch either.
And it's also not in the collection anymore. But would you do a 321 movement in a Seamaster like it was back in the day?
You definitely could have worked that. I don't see what the problem is with doing it now. And it's dressier as well. That kind of broadens your options. If sport watches have obviously been king for a long time, but if you could easily do, let's say, a white gold Speedmaster with a 321 in, let's say, a smaller case size with more expressive lugs on it, with some, different handsets or something like that. It's a new canvas to paint on. But you've already proven it in the past.
Yeah, it worked in the past, but the Speedmaster worked better. That's why the Speedmaster is a Speedmaster. It's an institution.
That's true. I'm not arguing for a new number 1. I'm just saying they don't have a number 2.
That's true. Yeah, I can co-sign that. As I said, if you look at the current collection, there aren't many chronographs. Yeah, the Seamasters here and there, whatever. But the Speedmaster is the chronograph for Omega. And I guess it shouldn't change, as you said. But probably if you're looking for this complication, maybe in a smaller case, maybe with a different model name, then you are limited.
I just think there's consumer pockets out there that they could be hitting in terms of size, in terms of pricing, because Speedmasters continue to get more expensive at retail and on the secondary market. And you have other complications, like maybe people want a date window. That's not crazy. Maybe people want a GMT, like the Flightmaster. These exist within the Omega catalogs, and they have been dead and buried for too long.
Let me stop for a second. Omega, call this man. He's your guide. He's the advisor. They get you there.
$1,000 an hour or free watch. That's all I'm asking. I feel like this is a subject not a lot of people talk about. Please let me know, am I insane here, or is there some sort of meat on the bone? Drop a comment below. I'm Thomas Hendricks.
How about Ferenczi?
Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.